Hey, what's up, friend? You are you interested in lack of skill? Yeah. Or maybe some suck. I'm just a new guy for the love of game. We don't go, I know it's bad. Times have changed, but not my mad. Don't you know that games are my thing? Yeah, I know it's getting real late. Come on, look at me. I even do storytelling. Also podcasts on great game subjects. Okay, yeah, I'm not a Markiplier or a PewDiePie. But hey, that's what makes me so unique, right? Right? And hello everybody. My name is NikoTheLegend, also known as the well-mannered teenager, the snowflake, rambling idiot, and vigil. And I hope all of you are doing well today. I hope all of you are healing and understanding what has transpired in recent days, which is the passing of a great hero, of a legend that many of us, definitely many of us, and me, myself, and friends, and all that, all the above, of the great passing of a hero, of a legendary icon, a god of sorts, and that is Akira Toriyama. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell to you, that's okay. Sometimes, we never care of who the artist is, and we just play the games or watch the movies or read the books. That's perfectly fine. But just know about everything that you've been enjoying in your life. Akira Toriyama was a part of it in some shape or form. Growing up from going through your childhood, preteens, teenage years, adult years, and to this day, without even you realizing it, because that's how much this guy affected us in so many ways, in so many direct and indirect ways. This was a guy who shaped literally mountains, planets, landscapes in entertainment media. And I know I've said that, and if you don't know who he is, let me tell you who this guy is. He's the guy who made Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and then the latest anime coming out this year, Dragon Ball Daima. If that still doesn't ring a bell, he's a guy who made one of your favorite video game series and game, Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest. Still, does it ring a bell yet? Am I getting closer? Also famous for making Sandland, Dr. Slump, and many other forms of media as well. This is a guy who has been doing this for 40 plus years, since he was a young buck, younger than me, and it's crazy to think that he's no longer with us. It took me a while to do this, to wait a little bit until I thought I was mentally prepared for it, because the passing of him from a subdermal hematoma is tragic, to say the least, and he knew that his health was dwindling. He knew his time was almost here, from the latest interview with him. You can look it up online. And he knew his time was coming. But at times we just don't know it would come so soon, after, foreshadowing his end. But as the great quote goes from a classic movie, Sandlot, which I will hold tight to me like a good old royal flush of cards: heroes can be remembered, but legends never die. That right there is the best that I can do. It's the best that we can all do, and it's just gonna it's a hard pill to swallow. When I found out from the news, which was a simple just message in Discord about the passing of this gentleman, this legendary figure, this god of all gods, the Sultan of Swat, the Colossus of Clouds, more Sandlot references, but it's true. He was like, I think he was more prolific than Babe Ruth was. From what my understanding, Babe Ruth was just baseball. Akira Toriyama was like everything form of entertainment in some shape or form. He was that crazy. His impact was that crazy. But anyway, yeah, I found out in the Discord, and I was playing a game, just chilling, and then this news broke out, and I literally just stopped what I was doing. And absolutely tragic to read something like that. And I don't usually get this way from people I've never met before, like physically, shaking hands and everything. But this was different. I shed tears for the guy from his passing because it's tragic, absolutely tragic of someone like that passing away because he wasn't just like some run of the mill Hollywood actor or some musician we may have heard once or twice growing up and then we just move on. No, this guy changed lives, man. This guy was, like I said, a symbol of hope, a symbol of strength, power, all the above, everything, all the emotions you can think of. This guy was the embodiment of all that. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. You can look at the tribute walls for him on Twitter. You can look at all the different articles talking about him. You can look at all the tributes from different video game companies, movie companies, news networks, cartoon networks. Like, you fucking name it. I mean, this guy created a universe of amazing power and with such pristine technique. Whether he thought it or not, this guy was a legend. He was the legendary Super Saiyan. As cheesy as that sounds, it's definitely true though. But yeah, when I was like, I lost it, man. I really lost it because this was somebody that I have been paying attention to his work since I was a preteen, since I was 9 or 10 years old, without even realizing that Akira Toriyama was this guy who was making this stuff. But I fell in love with Dragon Ball Z. That was the first. That was around the time I was really getting into anime and Dragon Ball Z. I was hooked right from the get go. Recording things on VHS tapes when DVDs or Blu-ray players weren't out, and I couldn't afford to own the dubbed version of Dragon Ball Z. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, hanging out with my best friends, fighting each other, powering up, doing all this cheesy live action role playing of being our favorite characters and doing the most the most notorious well known moves like the Kamehameha and all that, turning Super Saiyan like I said and everything else. It was mind blowing. There hasn't been one person in my life that does not know what Dragon Ball Z is or was or whatever. If you don't know Goku, you know Dragon Ball Z. You've seen something, you heard of it. It's passed along through the hallways in school, notes, pictures, music, games, news related stuff. Especially nowadays, it's so easy to know these things, to see these things. But even back then, man, this guy was shaping, like, I mentioned before, this guy was shaping people's lives. Well, he was. It wasn't just up and coming artists. Okay, it was musicians, it was celebrities, it was professional athletes. They all looked up to his work. You could see it plastered everywhere. Even fans alike, fans of spectators sports, fans and players alike, all felt the emptiness in their soul, in their heart from this guy. Whoever knows of him, this is a guy who's never going to be able to make something ever again. And he wasn't finished. He said it so himself. He was not done. This was a guy that, you know, gave us so much, and all we could give him was just our attention and our respect. And you know what? He was fine. I believe he was fine with that. I think he just liked what he was doing. Had a family, had his work to do. Sounds like a normal life to me. A stressful one, definitely, and one of the most stressful lives you can ever have when you're doing manga. But a life nonetheless. And it did bring him prosperity and joy. And it was a good, fulfilling life for him. So, would I have it any other way? Of course, selfishly, I would like for him to keep on living. Passed away at 68. Still, he was getting up there in his twilight years. But, man, it was just that effective. And it's sad to see all that, like I said, all the tribute art to him, Every little thing that he has done, and how much people are paying respect, how they feel like there's just a part of themselves died that day and went with him. I think the best examples I can give you are the creators of One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, all those guys. And that's just a few. That's like the top fours: Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto. Those three, besides Dragon Ball Z, because Akira Toriyama was the grandfather of manga, pretty much. Dragon Ball Z was or Dragon Ball in general, it was the grandfather to these younger up other big three, and these artists pay tribute to him. These are high end prospering artists that they also had something taken away from him that day. It was a hero, and it was nice to see them pay respects by offering tribute with great farewells and messages talking about him and how he shaped their lives and how he inspired many to be just like him, because like I said, he was a god among gods. So it's pretty depressing. It's every year has been a marathon of top prolific anime or manga writers. You had Kentaro Miura for Berserk, who passed away in 2021. Then a year later, you had, I can't remember his name, the guy who made Yu-Gi-Oh! Then you had the guy who, a year later, the guy who made Cobra, and then most recently in 2024 was the guy, was Akira Toriyama, the guy who made Dragon Ball. So sounds like the Mount Rushmore so far, people coming and going. And I'm not kidding when I say that his work has seeped, has manipulated or shifted or altered, has affected, and in a good way. I mean this all in a good way, other people's works. And people always find a way to put in a Dragon Ball Z reference in their TV shows. It's pretty crazy. Especially the inspired manga writers. They always get their inspiration from Akira Toriyama, especially shonen anime. Shonen anime was probably the highest tier. Like I said, you had One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, My Hero Academia, Gintama, and that's just barely scratches the surface. It's crazy. I don't want to keep you guys for too long, and I know this is a really short NIKO Show podcast. I'm just Akira Toriyama. If you've never heard of him, check him out. Watch some of his stuff. Play the games. Read the manga. Watch the TV show. I made it a thing for me to marathon all of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. It's gonna take a while, but I owe it to this guy. Like I said, I was in shambles, heart wrenching, gut punching, ball twisting. I mean, you name it. And it's crazy. This is crazy. So yeah, I think Toriyama Sensei deserves all the respect that he gets. And you know what? Even if you didn't like his stuff that he made, you cannot argue with how much his work has shaped the landscape, the galaxy, the worlds, the universe of entertainment. I mean, this guy had people coming together throughout his tenure at doing what he did best. I'm not kidding. You can look it up everywhere. People respected him. I just can't imagine what Japan's going through, because Japan does not fuck around with national icons like that. You don't have to be some type of monarchy or anything. If you are a living legend coming from Japan and somebody like that passes away, That's a sad time for that country because, like I said, he was a symbol. He had respect and honor. I can only imagine what his family's going through, his two kids, his wife, and then everybody else that's been involved in his life and who have met him. Anybody who has met him, I don't know what I would do if I ever met Akira Toriyama. I don't even care if he was short with me or anything. The fact that I made contact would have been amazing, but I never had that opportunity, and I never will. But maybe one day, if I ever visit Japan, I'd like to go visit. If it's appropriate, if I have permission, I wouldn't mind visiting his gravesite and paying respects to him, saying my piece. That's just wishful thinking. I know it sounds over dramatic. I know, but it would be nice, a nice thought. Now, if anybody's listening to this, I know it's a short episode. At this point in my podcast, we'll call it career payless, payless, non-paying career. Let me know down in the comments below how Akira Toriyama's work affected you and how inspired you, or just whatever your experience was, what it was with his work. Now, the really sad thing, there's even more sad news before we go, is he had so much left to do. He even said it himself that he wasn't done. He still had work to do. He still wanted to keep going. He did Dragon Ball Daima. He did Dragon Quest 12, Dragon Quest 3 remake. I'm sure he helped with some things in the new Dragon Ball Z fighting game coming out. That's his baby, you know. Watching him playing the things that he has made, it doesn't feel the same. It feels weird. It feels off. It feels wrong in a way. You're playing the ghost of somebody's game, a ghost's creation, right? And I know we've done that a billion times, but it's like I felt like with his work and what he's done, you felt like you were intertwined with him. You were connected, and that bond has been severed. But any future installments of what he's possibly worked on and stuff like that, especially Dragon Ball Daima, which he wasn't even trying to be involved, but he advised the whole show and wrote the story for it. It's going to be the most watched anime and premiere of all time. Like, breaking records, because everybody that has been touched by his work, that is still affected by his death, mourning his death, the world will be watching this premiere, and it's going to make news, headlines, and it's going to be a coming together, everybody in unison, and doing the one last great thing we can do for this guy, for the last creation on this planet that he's made. It's only the right thing to do, the respectable thing. So it should be exciting nonetheless, because I am excited to see this new Dragon Ball anime, Dragon Ball Daima. But anyway, with that, folks, let me know how you connected with Akira Toriyama's work. All the stuff I mentioned: Dragon Quest, Dragon Ball Z, Chrono Trigger, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Daima, Dr. Slump, Sandland, all the above. So, I have been your host, NikoTheLegend, and this has been a tragic tale, the saddest of episodes. Just know, I know how you feel. Get through this, and we'll just have to keep paying our respects, and he would want that. He would want us to keep enjoying what he has made and giving him his long-awaited space. A hero's rest, although he wasn't a hero, he was a legend, so we'll say a legend's rest. Remember, the cheesy Sandlot motto is, heroes are remembered, but legends never die. Thanks, Pathfinders. See you later.